Welcome to Process to Profitability, a podcast all about the tools and strategies you need to serve your clients and grow your small business, hosted by me, Samantha Mabe of Lemon and the Sea. Join me as I chat with creative entrepreneurs and small business owners about how they built and grew their businesses and how you can do the same in a way that fits you. Let's get started. This is episode 17 of Process to Profitability. Today is a continuation of my website design series, and I will be talking about how a website designer can save you time and money. I'm going to go into some really important things to think about when you are considering whether you want to DIY your website or hire somebody to help you with the design and development in order to save you time and ultimately save you money so that you can spend more time working with your clients and growing your business. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, it is just me, Samantha, and I'm going to be talking about website design and how, if you hire the right designer, they can save you time and money. And while I'm talking specifically about website design in this episode, this applies to so many parts of business where you find that you are not an expert in whatever you're trying to do. Now, when I started my business, and even it's still at times now, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to have a hand in every part of the business, and I didn't really have the money to spend to hire somebody to help me. And I totally get that. I actually support it. I think that when you are starting out in business, you need to have your hand in every part so that you really know how things work and can teach people later if you hire them or set up processes that support you because you've already done the hard work yourself and you know what you are having to get into. But as your business grows, your ultimate goal is to make more money by spending time on your clients and figuring out ways to grow your business. And while it may seem like it's helping you save money to do everything yourself, you have a limited amount of time. And so hiring strategically the right people in the right places is going to save you time, which is ultimately going to save you money. So, how can hiring a website designer specifically get you on that path? And I'm going to say all of this is in relation to a website designer who is a professional, who has designed websites before for people in a similar industry as you, and who really knows their stuff. When you are considering hiring, you want to look at someone who has experience, not necessarily with people who do exactly what you do, but with people who are doing online business or serving their clients in a similar way, who can help you design a website that is strategic in growing your business. If you decide that you want to hire somebody who is new or doesn't have much of a portfolio in order to save money, you need to be prepared to be more involved in the process. It's going to take up more of your time, and while it may cost less in actual dollars that you're putting out, it's probably going to ultimately cost you more in the time that you're putting in and in the changes you're going to have to make down the road. But if you want to go that path, that's up to you. This is one of those things that you have to figure out what works for your budget, what works for your schedule, and what's going to work best for your business, as opposed to thinking that you just have to do it yourself in order to save the dollars that are going out of your pocket. So how exactly can a website designer save you time and money? I'm going to go through 5 ways and detail a little bit about how exactly that can help you and what you should be looking for when you're looking into hiring somebody so that these apply to the way that they do business and design. Number 1, a website designer is going to take your vision and your needs to create a plan so that you don't take up your valuable time and money figuring it out on your own. This helps you in a couple of different ways. You have an expert there to support you and let you know the best ways to accomplish your goals. So a good designer is going to sit down with you at the very beginning of the process. They are going to go through what your ultimate goals are for your website, how you're going to track those goals, and help you design a website that gets you there. This means that if you want to really focus on growing your email list, they're going to have a different plan in the design than if you are selling products to people who might land on your website one time and don't need to be nurtured as much as people buying a course or a service. This also helps you because you're going to get it right the first time. How many times have you sat down to the computer to try something, you've figured out how to get by with that process or a website or a design, but it's not really perfect, and so you're always sitting there tweaking and changing, and you're having to revisit it all the time. This happens to me a lot. When I first just started designing, my website was on WordPress, which I had never used before, so I had to learn the entire process. I had to find a theme, I had to install it, and make all of the tweaks. And then, because it wasn't serving what I needed to in my business, I ended up switching to Squarespace. And from there, I had to figure out a whole new platform. And every time that I update my website, I have to spend my time doing that. So while I'm not paying someone to help me, I am giving out money in terms of time that I could be spending working on client projects that could bring in dollars. So by getting it right the first time, you're not having to go back and fix mistakes. You're not having to go back and sort of prop up what you've done just to get by. Instead, you've got a great website from the get-go that supports your goals. Number 2, a good website designer is going to be knowledgeable about the design and resources that are going to benefit you. This means that they can help you create a solid base for other things that you need on your website. While it may not be their expertise, they can get you set up to grow in the future in the areas of SEO, software integrations, getting really great conversions from ads, and setting you up for updates and maintenance as your business grows and your website changes that make it easy for you to expand your business in those ways. Of course, you will have to communicate to your designer that these are areas you want to concentrate on, but most of those should be built into the way that they design a website. For example, when I design a website for somebody on Squarespace, I will dig into their SEO a little bit and make sure that they are set up and have all the information they need to continue to build their SEO strategy. So some people may come to me with keywords and keyword phrases already in place, and that's awesome because I can put that in the areas that it needs to go, and they are ready to keep growing and showing up on Google. For people who don't have that already done because they haven't had the time or they're not really sure what that looks like, I will go through and figure out some basic keywords that they can get started on. And I go through and I set up all of that on the back end. I integrate with Google Analytics. I submit a sitemap for them so that all of that is taken care of. And they're going to start showing up on Google. And all they have to do is continue to practice good SEO when they write content and upload images. I've already done the baseline work so that they are just building upon that, but everything is already in place. Designers are also going to be able to recommend softwares and programs and other people that can help you grow your business that would they know and trust. So I have certain softwares that I recommend for different levels of business because I know that they work and I know how to integrate them well with the website. For example, I will use MailChimp for people who are just starting out growing an email list. They can easily integrate it with Squarespace and start for free and get started on all of that good email list growth. But if they're on something bigger or they need more robust software, I might recommend something like ConvertKit so that they can really get into automations and tagging and segmenting. I recommend things that I know work, that I have used or gotten really good in-depth knowledge from other people. And that's going to save my clients time and money because they're not going to have to go and do all the research for every single program that they're considering using in their business. Now, some of them are they want to get into it themselves and test. I have not done tests on everything, but I can start by giving recommendations, I can give resources, and sometimes I even have discounts that I can give because I am a designer. And the discounts really come into play on Squarespace. As a member of the Squarespace Circle, which is basically a design team member, I get a 20% discount for my clients for their first year of their website. And so there are a lot of benefits with working with somebody who is knowledgeable in the industry, who has worked with the software before, and who can help you figure out the best way to set up your business and save you money because you are not trying to test everything out there. Number 3, a website designer is going to support you before, during, and after launch so that nothing is forgotten. For me, this comes in an Asana project where I lay out every step that I go through on my end, and then my clients get a project that lays out what their steps are and the deadlines that they have to meet in order to keep us on track. So I'm going to go through some of the steps I go through that help you to build a website that is going to reach your goals and make sure that nothing is left out or left to the last minute. So first, a website designer like myself is going to explain your options when it comes to choosing the right platform. I only work on Squarespace, and so I will tell you what Squarespace can and can't do. And if it doesn't seem like it's a good fit, either because I think that you need different functionality or because you want to stick with something else, then I will recommend another designer. But we will go through what the platform can do and how things can be integrated if you have specific needs that you already have set up and want to connect to. Second, I'm going to learn your website goals and how you're going to measure success. And we talked about this back in your vision and needs in step 1, but we're going to lay out what it is that your website is trying to accomplish and how you're going to figure out if it's actually living up to that. That way I can make sure the design supports that goal and put in place different ways that we can measure. Third, you're going to analyze what you need your website to do in terms of functionality. This is more than just I want to grow my email list. It's I need to be able to have a resource library or a membership site or a contact form. You want to get all of that information together with your designer so they know exactly what you need and can create the pages and the back-end systems that are going to do that functionality for you. If you're ready to improve your website today, get my free 5 website updates to Get Legit guide by going to lemonandthesea.com/5updates. There you will find a guide with 5 easy updates you can make today that are going to make your website stand out, be legal, and it includes free resources that you can check out, as well as easy action steps to get you started so that you can start making improvements to your website today. That is at lemonandthesea.com/5updates. The next step is going to be to create a sitemap that lays out everything your designer is going to create for you, and then is going to help you get together the content that they're going to need to create the actual website. So I do this in a PDF document where I lay out every page of the website so that you can go through and check to make sure that everything that you needed is on the list. It's also going to include some back-end things that maybe you didn't think about, but that it's my job to know that we need. And then I'm going to give you a list of content that you're going to need to provide to me. That's going to be the copy for your web pages, the images for your web pages, so that you can get all of that together while I design, and we can really have everything working at the same time. Then I'm going to work with you during the design to get your feedback. So I might do some mock-ups, I might do some wireframing on Squarespace or in a PDF version, depending on your needs and the way that you like to work. And I'm going to give those to you and get your feedback. So it's a totally collaborative process where we're working hand in hand as partners to design a website that not only fits the functionality, but fits your vision for your brand. And then I'm going to build that website design. I'm going to create it on Squarespace, live and ready to go. And then we're going to launch. So the support before and during a launch is really important from your website designer. You don't want to just have the design done and have them disappear, leaving you with some really pretty website pages that nobody can see, because it gets complicated on the back end and it takes time. So usually these steps for me include transferring a domain or redirecting it from somewhere else. So if you have a website somewhere else, we are now directing it to the Squarespace site, and that takes time and sometimes some back-end work to get set up. I'm going to make sure your email is set up so that you're going to receive emails through whatever platform that you like. I'm going to go through and test the entire website. That includes making sure all of the links work, making sure payments are processed correctly, making sure that the forms work. That testing is a really important part of this, because I want to make sure that when somebody goes to your website after it's just launched, it works the way it's supposed to work. And then after the launch, I am there with some post-launch hours to go in and check all of those analytics to make sure you're meeting your goals and make tweaks as needed. Or if you come up with an idea afterwards, I have time built in to help you make those changes or add pages or whatever it is that you are trying to do. Because what you're going to find in a website design is that you have grand ideas, and we all do this. We have grand ideas of everything we want to create, including tons of opt-ins and membership sites and resource libraries. But when it comes down to it, that's a lot of stuff to get done. And so you can start out with the basic pages and then add another opt-in as you have created it and want to get it live. And that's where that post-launch support comes in, that I am there on your team for a certain number of hours after the project, and then there is always the possibility of hiring your designer for an ongoing retainer basis, so you know that they're always there supporting your business, helping you with new ideas, checking in on things to make sure that everything is still working. Number 4, a website designer is going to manage your project so that you stay on track and meet your goals. When you hire a website designer, they should have a design process in place for themselves, which you probably won't see too much of, and a process for you to follow. This is going to make sure that every step of the project is outlined, it's got a deadline, and you are continuing to work towards getting your website launched. What happens when there isn't a process in place for your project, or when your designer isn't managing that process, is that you will either let things fall through the cracks, you're going to forget them because you've never done this before, and that's understandable. Or things are going to drag out because you've got a lot of other things on your plate to pay attention to, and you're not always going to remember to check in with your designer to make sure things are going along smoothly. That's why it's the designer's job to set up that process and then to communicate it to you. So some designers will say, I'm going to give you deadlines, and then I will update you once a week with what I've done, what's coming up, and what you have to work on. Other designers are going to have a project management software where you're going to be seeing things as they happen so you can give feedback. Some people might have set calls during different parts of the process so that you can talk by Skype or on the phone and go through the design as you need to. No matter how they manage your project, that's going to totally depend on the designer and how they work best. But you want to make sure that there is a process in place so that what doesn't happen is that you feel like you are trying to manage an entire website design along with serving your clients and growing your business and spending time with your family. You don't want to have to figure out how to manage a website design project when you've never done one before. Now, there is a caveat to all of this, and I just have to say this from a designer perspective. A designer may have a process in place, but if you aren't ready to stay on track and meet those deadlines, it's going to throw everything off, and you might not be able to launch on time. So please, as you're working with your designer, make sure you've got an idea of what you're going to need to do and when things are going to be need to be done by, so that you can work ahead and get things done and plan that out in your own schedule so that your website doesn't get delayed. And then after they've managed the project, they're going to set up analytics to meet your goals. They're going to make sure that the design is going to work for what you want your website to accomplish. Because after all, that's why you're investing in a website. It's to grow your business. It's to accomplish these goals. And your website designer will help you to make sure that that's happening by getting things in place to really see how things are going and make tweaks as needed on your design. And then the fifth way a website designer is going to save you time and money is that they are going to be there after your website launches, like I mentioned back in step 3, to make updates because they are already familiar with your design and your platform. You're not having to find somebody new, vet them, make sure that they know what they're doing every time you want to make a site update to your site, and you're not having to try to figure it out yourself. Now, I personally give all of my clients tutorial videos and access to a tutorial library so that they can make updates themselves if they want to, but they can also hire me to do maintenance if they feel like their time is better spent elsewhere. And that's the biggest part of all of this is you could probably figure out how to design a website that functions the way you need it to and meets your goals and helps your business grow on your own. There is a lot of information out there online about website design, about strategic design, about user experience, but that's going to take a lot of time. It might take some money to invest in really good resources, and that's probably time that you are better off spending on your clients. So creating content that is going to drive people to your website, creating and running different social media platforms, or actually working for your clients. You should be spending your time working on things that are ultimately going to make you money. And while your website is a part of that, you want to make sure that it's the best it can possibly be. And a lot of times that comes by hiring a professional who's going to get it done faster, who's going to get it done right the first time. If you're considering hiring a website designer, I hope that you go through and make sure that your designer is going to have these sort of things in place so that they really are going to save you time in the project management and the learning curve and save you money by doing things right the first time and having the resources that are going to help your website be the best that it can be. If you have questions about website design or how a designer might work, there are some other great episodes on website design that I have put out through this podcast, or you can email me at Samantha@lemonandthesea. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate if you would subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher and leave a review. It's going to help other people find the show and really help them to grow their businesses and serve their clients well, just like you are trying to do. I know there are a ton of us out there who are trying to make business work for our lives, and I want to support you in that through website design and business strategies. Thanks for listening to Process to Profitability. Please take a minute to leave an honest review in iTunes so that I can help more small business owners and creative entrepreneurs find the show.